Okay, guys. Well, we're very excited to talk to you today about commercial building decision makers, how to find them, online and offline tools for success that you and your team can use to find commercial building decision makers. So, are you ready?
Who am I?
Let's get right into it.
Well, I was just going to say a lot of people may not recognize me, but if you've seen some of my videos on my YouTube channel, you can actually see how this disappeared and why. The reason why I look different is because this beautiful lady and I renewed our vows here on the past Saturday, and I didn't want her to marry an old guy. I wanted her to marry the young guy. She still looks as hot and beautiful as she did in her 20s, and so I just want to look like I was at least in the 30s or 40s range.
Yeah, so we have new CEO Daniel in the house. Of course, most of y'all are familiar with Daniel Laxton's.
As the guru.
Yeah, and you want to give them a little bio of who you are in case they don't know you?
Yeah, I've been in the roofing industry. My family was in the roof. My grandfather was a roofer. My brother had the roofing business. I took over, so did that for 15 years, and then we've been representing different manufacturers and components for commercial roofs. And so, after 18 years of doing that, we realized that we're more of business consultants for the roofing industry than anything. And so we wanted more freedom. So that's the reason why we went to work on Roofing Business Builder almost a year and a half ago. And so we just want to get back to our brothers, our sisters, ones that are really wanting to learn how to cross over from that residential market into the commercial market. Or if you're in the commercial market and you're getting stuck before you hit that next level, that $1 million mark, the $2 million mark, this is the course that we designed for them. But what we're wanting to do, though, is whether you ever join Roofing Business Builder, we want to bring value to all of our friends, our families, our brethrens, our countrymen, and that's what we're doing right here. So I guess should have said I am also I sit on the committee for ASTM D8. Hague certified commercial roof inspector. I'm an author. I'm a speaker, a podcast host that we've done for years and stuff. So that's just a little bit about me. Entrepreneur. We own a few different businesses. We're invested, and also we have been in the real estate game for quite some time too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm Leah Laxton's, the wife of Daniel, and help out here at Roofing Business Builder as a business strategist. I assist emerging entrepreneurs to develop their business plans. And most of the time, I'm primarily concentrated in the hemp industry. But it's always fun to come here and talk to you guys about the roofing industry after so long in it. And a lot of you may know Micah as well. He's our client specialist, a new sign-up specialist. I think he's here in the chat today. Also very seasoned in the roofing industry. And then we have Savvy, Lillian, and Jen that do our sales rep lead gen. You may have met some of them on LinkedIn. So that's the team at Roofing Business Builder. Now let's talk more about how we can build your team in the commercial roofing industry.
Hey, got an advertisement. No. How many of y'all are going to be at the Win the Storm event for
for Storm Ventures Group? Put a yes in the chat if you're going to be out at Storm Ventures Group Win the Storm later this month. Daniel will be speaking there on April 2nd, bright and early at 8 a.m. on 5 keys to commercial roofing success. Some more knowledge for you guys. So what we want to do today is identify the purchasing habits of commercial building decision makers, and then give you guys online and offline tools and strategies on how to connect with them to make closing deals easier. So you're not just shotgunning the whole country, but you're very targeted and sniping the exact right contact, and to create a system so that this is automated.
So again, we're going to be talking about online tools and those offline tools. And if there's any kind of terminology that we use that maybe is unfamiliar, just drop it there in the chat. So those that have just joined, we're not using that question answer section, but we're going to do everything inside the chat because we can't see that the way the screen was set up.
All right. So before we get started, Daniel always likes to start it with an intention. So we'll turn it over to you to get this thing kicked off on the right track.
All right. So what we think about, we bring about. And today's intention is I provide amazing value. I provide amazing value. And you want to drill that into your mind. Why? Why is that important? Well, in life, and especially even in this roofing industry, you may run into different ones that are like, well, as long as I make the money, or if I get that sale, that's all that matters. I even heard someone say that I'll lie to the customer until I get the job, and then I'll start backing up and giving some, honest things. And that's not value. And the thing is when we think to ourselves, I provide amazing value, then that puts us into not only the mindset, but it makes you feel better because you know that when you're talking to people, you're just going to provide value. And what happens though is that vibration that you're resonating at, they pick up on it, and then they feel enamored towards you. And that value, if it's a fair exchange, when we're in the roofing industry, we're going to provide a service to these people. I mean, we're protecting millions of dollars underneath that roof. And so is that not very valuable? And so, but don't forget that relationship they have with you, that you have the knowledge. You wear a white coat as a scientist when you're talking to these people. You're the educator. You're like the teacher with the apple, but think about yourself in that way. Think about this. I provide value. And what happens is that equalization will happen where you'll always be providing value, not worrying about the money, because we know the money is going to come. Millions of dollars are going to come. But you provide that value, and it will always create this relationship that's going to last for a lifetime. So let's think about that amazing value that we provide.
That's awesome. Yes. So to really start this off, we want to define prospecting because that's what we're doing here, right? We're prospecting for commercial building owners. Now, if we knew there was gold in this backyard, would we come in with a giant bulldozer and just destroy the entire property? No, we'd come in with a metal detector and we would pinpoint exactly where the gold is and then dig in that spot.
We'd use technology to help us find specifically what we're looking for, which is the gold.
So back in the day, we might just blast the whole country or our entire city or county with mailers until we got one to stick. But that's the old way. Now we can be so much more targeted, and this helps us to save money, time, resources, and really provide value to the building owner, which is going to give us that long-term relationship that we're looking for. So we want to save time and resources and focus on targeted prospecting.
How do we do that?
Well, we want to identify the decision maker in each of these micro niches. If you guys missed the micro niche training that we had last month, we will have that available for you after this webinar today. And we're really talking about commercial roofing is the niche, but what is your targeted micro niche below that? Because the decision maker is different in each category.
And we can also even say that there's new construction or re-roof. Those are two separate niches too. But even within those categories, those break down into restaurants or shopping centers, and and then both there's the same types of micro niches can be within both of those two niches.
And when you get inside of these micro niches, what you're going to find is that each company is a little bit different on who holds the power. So your mission is to find out who in the relationship has the most power. Sometimes even in re-roof scenarios, it may be the designer or roof consultant, but usually it's the owner or owner's rep, right? But then even when we get into like schools, we've sold millions of square foot of schools, and every school district was a little bit different. Sometimes it was a board member that had the sway, sometimes the maintenance director, sometimes even the purchasing department. But the vast majority of the time, it is the superintendent who has the most pull. So we want to target all of these people in the pie, make them all fall in love with us through the value that we're providing, but put the most amount of time into the main person that has the most influence in the buying scenario.
And you may wonder to yourself, well, who is that person? Chances are it's the most charismatic person within that network of that group. So it's pretty easy to identify because, someone that's really soft spoken or they step back, they're out of the picture, they're not, that person doesn't make the decision. Someone that is charismatic or very mouthy, chances are that's your person, that's your target, that's who you're going to want to convince and explain how you're going to bring value to them.
Absolutely. So these are a few examples of individuals and job titles that you want to pinpoint when you're prospecting within these different micro niches that you may be targeting.
And we're not really going to talk about micro niches because we did that in the last webinar. But just remember, though, you don't want too many, maybe one or say two to four micro niches. And the reason why is because you don't want to spread your company out. Plus, you want to have what we're going to explain to you want to have targeted advertising. So that way a person can look at you and go, ooh, I identify with them. They're my guy, or my girl, that's my company. And how do we do that? And that's what we're going to talk about.
And so how do these decision makers, regardless of whether it's the property manager, the owner's rep, the maintenance director, how do they make a decision about a roofing contractor? Well, think back about the decisions that have been made about you and your company, the jobs that you won or even that you lost. They're going to go first to someone that they trust in the chain, right? It may be a roof consultant or a designer, but more often than not, it's someone that they've worked with before, another trade that is referring them, a roofing contractor, or someone else in their network, a colleague, a partner, someone they trust that they know just got a roof. They're going to ask who they used, right?
You might think about it for yourself. I mean, if your hair, someone that cuts your hair, all of a sudden they move to Florida or they move to whatever, California, Colorado. But anyway, so your hairstylist is gone. You may not be that kind of a person that'll just walk into any place and get your hair done. You're going to try to find someone that is not going to butcher your hair. And so who do you ask? Think like that. Think like yourself. You're going to, when it comes to a car, you're going to buy, well, where do you buy your cars? Well, I know so-and-so, and they don't rip you off. So this is what we do. We talk to each other, our network. So how do you tap that network?
And that's a big thing too, that even if a person isn't the decision maker, it's good to still add value to every relationship we get, because we never know if this person is still an influencer in the buying decision.
And even then, they may become an influencer when they jump to another company. So you got to treat everyone as if they're worth $1 million along the way. And then, of course, narrow that down. So if you have that micro niche, you're not going to be talking to someone over there, because it's going to be a little bit further away from what you're doing within your company that makes you money.
So in review, there is a different decision maker job title for each micro niche, and you need to figure out who in the scenario has the buying influence. And that means there's a different process for each micro niche. So we're going to give you a variety of tools that you can use, but these are really depend upon the micro niche that you choose and your company's strengths and weaknesses. So you don't have to use all of these tools. We're going to give you the tools in the process, and you need to refine it for your own company, depending on the micro niche that you're in. So these are some online connection tools that we've used and that our clients have used to grow their commercial roofing sales. Now, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the #1 tool in your tool belt. It is your Leicester welder of the marketing in commercial roofing. We're actually going to do an entire webinar on LinkedIn Sales Navigator next month to really help you get the right structure, strategy, and messaging inside of Sales Navigator.
And we'll have a special guest too.
But if you're not using Sales Navigator yet, that's okay. Just you want to look at your LinkedIn profile and really determine if it's speaking to you as an authority within your commercial roofing micro niche. Does it just say roofing? What does your LinkedIn really look like? Who is it drawing? So that's really step one. LinkedIn is the best way to communicate with commercial roofing decision makers. Yes, some of them may have other avenues that they prefer, and that's part of this prospecting, finding out how they want to be communicated with. There's some people that still want a letter in the mail, right? Yeah. So we can do that. That's great. But most of the time, the majority are going to use LinkedIn messaging.
Baby boomers are on LinkedIn. Everyone's on LinkedIn. I mean, pretty much. If they're not, that's okay.
Yeah, and so we also have Lead Leaper and Grow Me Organic, which are scraping tools. A scraping tool essentially draws and pulls information from a database and puts it in your CRM. So Lead Leaper works with LinkedIn.
Scraper.
Grow Me Organic works with Instagram. It can scrape email addresses from these systems so that you can put them right into your CRM. And it's a great way to get an awesome database built up of decision makers.
And even that Seamless AI, I don't know if you've mentioned that, those guys originally worked for Google, and they created this software that it's amazing. But we're going to show you examples of this within the next few slides.
And then the other part of this process is really using local resources, your local chamber of commerce, property tax searches, the appraisal district. This is an awesome way to find who the building owners are. And then we still have to figure out if they're the decision maker, but the owner is always going to have some percentage of input in the process.
75% of your time is going to be using these. These are the online tools that your salespersons, your sales reps, whoever's working for you, this is what they're going to be using majority of the time while they're at the office. But then we also have other tools.
Absolutely. So Seamless AI is awesome. We're going to do a little brief demo of how it works. And we also have a training on the resources page of the Roofing Business Builder website that's more in depth. Lead Leaper is another great tool, again, for inside of LinkedIn, pulling those email addresses for your targeted clients. So highly recommend both of those. So now we're going to show you our exact process that we used for more than 17 years. Well, I guess you could say the last 10 years when the internet got a little more sophisticated, and that we still train today on how to find the decision maker on these buildings. So we start with Google Maps. There's some other systems too we'll also show you, but Google Maps is a great place to start.
How many of you use Google Maps right now to target some clients? How many of you use it before you go out to that job site or what have you, that prospect?
So first, I'm going to start my day with deciding what micro niche I'm targeting. So today I was feeling like some light industrial. So I just really Googled around our office here in New Braunfels to find a good example of what I could pull up. And I found this little beauty. Looks like about 100 squares, 10,000 square feet. Looks like it's had a coating, nice metal retrofit. Texas First Rentals here in San Marcos, Texas.
Look, if you look at their rentals, I mean, they have a lot of agricultural equipment, which is very expensive, which means that they must run through some cash, right? So that means that they also would be financially stable. And that's the kind of customer you want, one that has money.
Absolutely. So I'm like, oh, this looks like this could be a good target for me to do a metal retrofit. So the first thing I did was went to my local tax appraisal district, pulled up the info to see what contact is listed here. Again, I'm creating a whole tree of who I think the decision maker is going to be in this process. So I know what the value of their building is. That gives me a great idea of what their financial resources might be. And I've got an owner information here, the finance guy, David, down in San Antonio. So I would add him to my CRM immediately first.
Does that mean that David's the total decision maker? Not necessarily.
It's possible. We'll find out, right? So then I went over to Corporation Wiki. This is a free tool, corporationwiki.com, to look them up and see what else I could find and see maybe what other companies I've worked with that they might be related to. So now I have all of these people, but notice that David isn't mentioned. So maybe he's not the decision maker in the process here. So when I'm looking at these different individuals, you know, the president, I've got a CFO that's different than the CFO listed on the tax appraisal. So maybe there's been a change there. I've got a secretary. Who in this list do we think probably makes the decisions? Well, we've got a guy here, Peter, that's both the manager and listed as CEO and a vice president. So he has decision-making power at an executive, C-level executive level, but he's also listed as a manager. So
which means a general manager of one of the plants. Although, how many locations do they have, it says?
It says one location here, but we did a little more digging and they actually have multiple locations. And we could tell that too by the fact there's 2 managers listed, multiple vice presidents listed. So I'm starting to feel pretty good about Peter possibly being the right contact. So then I would go over to Seamless AI, drop in Peter's name and see if I can pull up contact information on LinkedIn, or I might just go directly to LinkedIn if I'm feeling pretty good and I want to skip the Seamless AI process. But over here on Seamless, there's actually even more managers listed. So that's where I'm starting to get a pretty good idea that this is a larger company than just this one building over
Means
here
they may
by
have
our
lots
office.
of buildings.
So I'm like, okay, this is worth putting a little more time in. So that's the process that we use. Google Maps, identify a building that has issues within the micro niche, go to the appraisal district, Corporation Wiki, or you could go straight to Seamless AI and try to make the connection on LinkedIn once you have the name of who looks like they could be in the chain of making this decision.
And remember, Seamless AI was designed from the guys that used to work for Google Analytics. And so this is really a great system and it's free. Do they also have a paid version?
Yeah, you get a limited number of searches with the free option, and then there's a paid version as well.
I always suggest to pay, because if you're going to use it, pay for it. If you don't pay for it, sometimes we don't use it.
Yeah, absolutely.
As much, you know.
Absolutely. And again, you want to make sure that all of these are connected to your CRM. So all these searches that you as a sales rep or as the owner, your sales reps are doing are recorded, so that in the future, when you go back through to prospect, you can see what you've already done and who you've already identified in these scenarios. Now, I want to show you one more online tool that is a paid tool, but is very impressive. The database is not as large as Seamless, but it is amazing, and that's Reonomy. So Reonomy, you can see we've got the free trial here. You can try out the free trial as well. They have 52 million commercial building owners or property managers in this database, and I can get very targeted. So when I'm going through Google Maps, it can be a little wonky. It's going to take me a little time. Here, I can really hone down on exactly what I'm looking for. So I want a building 10,000 square feet minimum or more. I can choose my property type, the area, and I can even choose if it's been renovated and how recently that has happened.
And how would they know that? Based
Big
upon
data.
Yeah,
Big data.
based on a few different things, but of course, if they're scraping the permits, they're scraping permit departments, then that's how they do this.
Yes, absolutely. And that is another tool that you can use. But again, it's a lengthier process when you're trying to scrape that information. Here, they've done it all for you, and you can literally just zoom in on their map tool and find out the exact owner, the company name, and get the contact information and get directly connected. This building just sold on October 2020, so it's probably not a great contact for us because usually improvements are done before the sale, but you never know. We can still reach out. So we want to find something with an older sale date, like here at 1212 Singleton Boulevard, 334,000 square foot multifamily.
Well, that's
building.
A decent size. I don't know if it's big enough for me.
That would probably pay the bills for a while, don't you guys think? So BW Austin Trinity, they would have the contact information here available. I would still take this and run it back through Corporation Wiki so that I can see the whole tree of who else might be the decision maker besides just who's been identified by Reonomy.
And remember when we did that, we even found out because on Hayes County tax assessor, that they only showed one location as that owner only owning one location. But when we went into was it Seamless AI? That's when we found out, wow, there's a whole lot more locations. And so this is fun, guys. I mean, you're sitting at your desk having your coffee and you're just, doing a little prospecting. It's a lot of fun.
Playing a little private investigator, and really essentially
and you're sniping. You're not using a shotgun. You can spend, our guys years ago used to just blow $3,000 to send out a mailing list to 3,000 to 10,000 customers, and then they'd get some of those, and then sometimes they get one of them that was like a 6-hour drive, and then they had there's no way they could get everything done. So this is a lot better because you're sniping, and then you can develop that specific relationship with that specific person that owns maybe about 20 buildings or owns 150 buildings.
Yeah, unless your mailer is the most kick-ass mailer ever, where does it go? What happens when someone sends you a mailer? It goes in the trash.
Because it's it's like, who is this? I don't know. It has a picture of a roof. But does it look like my roof? So the thing is that, if you send a mailer and it has a picture that looks just like their roof, then they're going to be a little more like, oh, I might know this guy.
You
This
might
seems
convert,
familiar,
you might get up to a 1% conversion rate at the very most on even a targeted mailer with their info. But using this system and reaching out through LinkedIn and phone calls and even in person, it's going to take more time, but your results are going to be much, much higher on your conversion rate.
And you don't need a bunch of customers. When you're running a multi-million dollar commercial roofing business, we don't want you to be always working. We'd rather you just work with 6 to 10 customers that you're drinking beer with, that you're going to their kids' birthday parties with, that you know personally, and they feed you because they own so many roofs that now you're out on the yacht and your roofing business is running itself through operations, through systems. And then, because you don't want to be an employee of your business. You want to be the owner of it. You don't want your business to be your job. You want your business to be your baby that's feeding you.
Absolutely. So some other online connection tools. If you have a department doing new construction, then you're probably familiar with BidClerk, CMD, the AGC, or if new construction is your niche and you're targeting individuals, you may be using these tools. You can actually use these tools for re-roofs as well, because many times the owner's rep listed on BidClerk is going to be the same owner's rep for re-roof scenarios. So you can share this among the two departments. But how do you want to approach it? It's very important. Back in the day, we would get like from a manufacturer, like, hey, you guys got a lead, and it would be from BidClerk, a project bidding on Monday, and today's Friday. What am I going to do with that? Nothing.
No, you're going to look like a whore. You're going to look like a dirty person. And the thing is even if you get through, say if you did land this lead within 10 days, because it's usually 10 days, that you can submit an alternate. So you submit an alternate. Now, what kind of reputation will you have because here, let me just explain this. We would write specifications for architects. And then while we're writing these specifications, it would take some time. You do your destructive testing, especially the larger the project. Well, we may be working with that architect sometimes until late in the evening with different information. And I had super good relationships with several architects, beer drinking, sit around, going out to dinner, visiting them with their kids and stuff like that. These are the kind of relationships you want to build. So I have this relationship with the architect. Some jerk comes in at the last minute, didn't do any work. I worked on this project for maybe 2 years, and this person walks in, wins the job. That's not fair. Because I made my money also on the sale of the product. So I may charge them services, but I'm also making the vast majority of my money on the purchase of every piece of product that I have written into that specification. So what kind of reputation do you want with those people? If you go in there and do that, you're going to be enemy number one.
And they're going to make your life miserable during that project. So what's the better way to prospect inside a new construction or working with designers? Look for projects in design phase. Whether you're using BidClerk, CMD, AGC, whatever it is, you can search for design phase.
Tell them you want to help. I want to bring you value. I want to help. I can do some of the destructive testing. I can write the scope of work and then work with a rep on writing the specification.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can drop them an email. Their contact information is usually right there in one of these, whichever one you're using. Drop them an email. And again, we're talking about adding value to your target client's life. So drop them an email and say, hey, I noticed you have a project in design phase. I have this great brochure called 3 Tips for Commercial Roofing Design Success that talks about 3 ways that architects and designers can specify a great roofing system that lasts for the owner. And I really wanted to send it over to you to help you with this project. And we actually have one of these available for our clients. If you want a copy of it so you can drop your own logo in, you can just hit us up after the webinar you'll get an email after where you can email back to support@roofingbusinessbuilder.com. We'll shoot it over to you. But this works great because this is a long-term relationship we're building. We're not going for that project that's going to close next week. We're looking to feed for a long time our business and our sales funnel. So
You don't
value
need
add.
that many customers. You don't need that many architects. If you just have one or two, just one can feed you millions of dollars worth of work per year.
Even on re-roofs,
Now,
absolutely.
granted, they have to do things legally, but the thing is, once you have a relationship, they're going to do everything in their power to help those that have spent all the time working to build their business. Well, then they'll find any legal way to help you to be in better favor to win bids. So
Absolutely.
but always be an honest person. One other thing I want to mention too is that we're saying, look at the design phase. Well, what if you can't find anything in the design phase and you really want to do something right now to develop those relationships? Well, go ahead and go to a bid meeting, show up. Don't plan on bidding anything. Just listen, introduce yourself. And say, oh yeah, I've been a roofer, whatever, but try not to say too much because you want them to first just to see you, to say, oh, that seems like a nice person. And you smile. And I say, oh, I don't know. I want to consider bidding it, but I'm not going to bid this one. I just thought I'd just come and meet all y'all and just whatever. But you know what I'm saying? You can develop those relationships and that way you're not interfering in what's going on. And you never know, because what happens, an architect or an engineer or whoever's they're working with, sometimes will get upset at maybe this roofing company is going downhill. Sometimes there's family problems at home, and next thing you know, the owner of that company is just bonkers, and now they're ready to jump ship and find a new roofer. Well, just so happens you showed up, you seem like a great person, and they like you, and then within the next time they hit a design phase, they may call you up and say, hey, can you help me out on doing some destructive testing and maybe writing some scopes of work for us?
Absolutely. So always look to add value and find those relationships. Now let's talk about some offline connection tools and methods where you can
Talked
find
about the online. Now it's time to go out. Yes.
and find some offline methods of making these connections. Trade associations, really amazing. There is a trade association for everything, guys. It is crazy. And so some of these are really strong and regionally very strong, and some are not. But you can find out pretty quickly, really just talking to a building owner. It's also a great conversation starter. Like, hey, I was thinking of joining the self-storage association because I want to do more roofs and self-storage. Are you a member? What do you think about it? If I get that message on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh, I really want to help this person out. No, actually, that association sucks.
They're bad.
Actually, yes, this is an awesome association. So it can be a great icebreaker and help you to identify trade associations that are very strong families that then you can leverage to find these relationships.
And again, before you're doing any of this, you really should know what your niche is, know what your mission is for your company. Sometimes we have passions for the children, or we have passions for, I don't know.
Training.
No, I'm just thinking like cannabis. I know that some people, they have a passion for cannabis, but they have a passion for brewing beer. So then they have a brewery where they actually, or a coffee shop that sells cannabis, well, I'm saying hemp products, but CBD and things like that. So we run into a lot of that, but they're doing two of their passions, right? And so again, one of our customers in the past, he actually did he own the orphanage, but supported a certain amount of his profits from the roofing would go to the orphanage. So we can use different types of something that you're passionate about. If you're passionate about cancer or autism or whatever, you can attach that passion to your company. And then when you go to these trade associations, say if it was autism, well, how many doctors' offices are within the autism micro niche community, but you're actually donating to it. Next thing you know, you're one of the board members for it. Next thing you know, everyone knows who you are in that super micro niche. And yet there's tons of roofs that need to be done for those organizations. So this is just an example you know,
You
that
can you can do some good and make some money at the same time, which is always the best.
but find your passion, because if you're passionate about it, then it'll always resonate through everything. Like I have an invention for something that for children, you know, it's a different type of thing. And she's like, no, because that means every trade show we go to, we're going to be stuck with all these kids. And we didn't want this. So that's because the kids aren't our passion. But if you're going to be going to a trade show, make sure it's a one that you love, that's fun, and that you can really get involved with. But you have to first discover your mission plan, then choose that niche, and then we're going to move on.
It'll make this process easier. Your Chamber of Commerce, if you haven't had a grand opening, you can join the chamber and have a grand opening at your business, which is an awesome opportunity to get the leaders of your community to come and check out what you're doing. And many of them are building owners, right?
Mhm.
Local chapters of larger organizations that are very strong with building owners, ICSC, International Council of Shopping Centers. Even if you're not doing retail and shopping centers, it's a great organization to be a part of, because most of their members are property managers that manage properties in multiple niches outside of shopping centers.
And each of these last three that Leah mentioned, these are large. This is like the large niche. This is the niche. But there's micro niches within those. So even though you're over here, the trade association, those people also belong to these big ones, and it'll be important for you to utilize these. But don't forget, when you're at ICSC, oh, there's tons of roofing contractors that have booths there. So you're competing with a bunch of people. So, but we have to use these as we're infiltrating our specific micro niche.
And at a regional level, which is what we're talking about here, you're going to have a lot less competition. Like BOMA is very strong in a lot of regional markets. The Building Operator Maintenance Association, CSI and
CSI.
AIA, especially if you're
Local.
doing new construction or working with designers on a local level, are very strong. So get involved with these organizations and provide value. Again, how can you provide value? They all want to know how to make their roof stop leaking. So any seminar that you can put on, presentation, or just your presence there is already providing value. But we're also going to talk about some value add content that you can create.
Yeah, you may know what their concerns are. Remember, we talk about pain points. So what are the pain points for these specific people in that specific niche? You know, certain different business owners don't have the same pain points. For example, restaurants or cafeterias, buildings with cafeterias, they have different type of leak issues. So their pain points may be different than the specific pain points of a shopping center.
Yeah, absolutely. And your previous clients, this is one that we so often overlook, but references from the previous clients are such an just gold mine sitting right there in your hands that you barely have to dig for. So touching base with them on a regular basis, if it's been 2 or 3 years, are you sending them an email, a reminder, a letter saying, hey, you know, did you know that your roof should be evaluated every year? Or maybe you already include that in your program, which is a great way to keep touch with that building owner. I want to come out and take a look at your roof. And while I'm here, can you think of anyone else inside your organization or your network that's looking for a reliable roofer?
Well, I was just at the ICSC show, and I was hanging out with this person. We're having drinks, talking about our children. And guess what? He said that he's looking for a roofer, but he doesn't trust anyone. Maybe I can give him your name. So anyways, this is where it all happens, those relationships. I'm looking for a haircut, you know, oh, this person's really good.
And that's where that LinkedIn +2 +3 works so well, right? Are you connecting with all of your clients past clients on LinkedIn, so that when you type into LinkedIn, that name from Google Maps, Seamless AI, the process that we did, it's going to show you if you're +2 away or +1, which means you have someone in common.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So you want to make sure you go back and connect with everyone that you have ever done business with.
And what you're going to be doing those, sure, you may have only just one, you're going to hit that roof, you're going to do that roof, you're going to make some money, then you're going to do someone else, you're going to do their roof. But what's going to happen though is in time, you're going to finally find those that have that one person that has like 150 buildings, and they're going to feed you maybe 4 to 10 a year. and then you have 5 of those or 6 of those, and then you'll never have to even do hardly any of this stuff. You can just except for what we'll teach you how to get that machine rolling to where it's all automated. That way you can walk away from your business for 3 months and get on a yacht, go do something, go have some fun, spend your money.
And so going back to connect with Peter Holt over at the Texas First Rentals, I would check out what trade associations are available for equipment rental companies. There actually is one. I'm telling you guys, there's one for everything.
Yeah, you see this?
The
This
American-
is a micro niche, a trade association, a very micro niche.
Yeah.
And I guarantee this. Well, I can't guarantee, but I guarantee there's hardly, if there's even one roofer that's a part of that, I guarantee there's usually not. Some of these super micro niches, you'll go to a trade show, you'll be the only roofer there. Now that's how you reduce your competition and spend less time going out and measuring and doing all this and proposals. Oh, what's my success rate, or what's my, what is my
conversion
rate on each of those proposals? So that's
close rate.
What's your close rate? And so that's because you have all this competition. You're going this way, you're going that way, you're trying to get all this stuff done, and now you're stressed out and you don't have time for the kids' baseball game. But see, if you do this, you got a micro niche. You're the only one there.
Yeah.
You go out there. I mean, what's your competition? You at a trade show where everyone is, they're going to have 10 bids. You go to this trade show, they may get 1 bid after your bid, just to make sure you're not a douchebag.
Okay. So,
Well, you know what I'm saying.
So let's go through again the best practices. We say assign 1 trade association and micro niche per sales rep and then move up from there. Why? Because this allows them to create a very targeted profile and very targeted information and value add content. Niche down on LinkedIn. Roofing contractor? No. Commercial roofing contractors specializing in multifamily properties, specializing in storage units, specializing in healthcare, hospitality. That's the way your sales rep's LinkedIn profile should really read. And the content they share should all be from that micro niche industry. And then creating niche landing pages. You don't need a brand new.
This is important.
You don't need a separate website for each individual niche. You simply need a separate landing page. Why? Instead of just sending them the homepage where they get there and they're trying to determine if you can add value or not. Again, always remember that the prospect does not care about you and your company. You guys don't even care about our experience really, right? What you care is, do we have a solution that will make your life easier? Commercial building owners are the same way. Do you have the roofing solution that will make my life easier? Well, we've been in business since 19, Nobody cares.
Are you a good person? Or not?
I'm licensed with
Can
all of
you
these
fix this?
products
Are
and
you
I'm
competent?
they just want to know if you can help them. So your targeted content should right off the bat clearly identify how you're going to help them. These are the 5 problems that roofs on metal buildings face. And this is the solution. You have a metal building. These are the 5 issues that are probably wrong with your roof and how I can fix it. Do you want to schedule a complimentary roof evaluation?
And then that link that you sent, when they click on that link, boom, it brings this commercial roofing landing page that shows metal roofs that you've done, and maybe even solutions within that. But it's like, you want them to, when they click that link, go, oh my God, that looks just like my building. Damn, they know what they're doing. I want them, because I went to the other guy's website and they said that they do residential and commercial. I clicked on it and all I saw was residential, or the building that I saw was nothing that looks like my building. So I don't feel familiar with these people. When they go to your landing page, they go, ooh, this feels familiar to me. I think I know these people, which that's what you want.
And when you're getting involved in these associations, again, you don't want to just be a logo on their website. You're just throwing money away. You want your reps actively involved in that community that has been created. And yeah, throw the event. Don't just attend the event, right?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
So all of this,
you create the party.
Yeah, that's right. So all of this is important because it really impacts closing deals. If you're very targeted, you may feel like, oh, I'm so targeted that now my phone calls have went from, 100 a week down to 20 a week. But guess what? The phone call number does not matter. What matters is the conversion rate. Are you closing more deals and making a higher margin now than when you were shotgunning the entire building owners in your geographic area? So the 6-hour rule, the 7-hour rule, some people call it, is the amount of content that someone needs to consume to say yes to your business. But
we used to hear it being called like it was Yellow Pages, or then you'd see a sign on the side of the road, and then anyways, you'd want multiple. You'd have to have at least 5 or 6 times that you touch that person before they actually call you. Well, now they have this 6 to 7 hour rule that they're going to watch your content, they're going to watch your videos, they're going to look at your website for up to 6 or 7 hours.
But you don't need this when you're very targeted in your micro niche, because you're building value right off the bat that no one else is. Because everyone else is like, hey, free roof evaluation, free estimate. Hey, can I do your roof? And you're providing value saying, hey, you are an auto dealership owner with a metal roof. I can help you. Here are the ways that I'm going to make your life easy. So they don't have to consume as much of your content to close. And we see close rates in excess of 80% using these methods, conversion rates of 10%, meaning if you go out and hit 100 targets with these methods, you're going to get 10 that you're going to get on the roof, and you're going to close 8 of those. And those are numbers that we've seen for the last several years using these micro niche techniques.
She and I, we'd always close 95% of everything. The reason why is because we were specific. We knew what we wanted, and we went after that, and we provided that value. And so you want that person to, you want that relationship. That's the whole thing.
Well, this has been awesome, guys. It flew
Yeah.
by.
Wow.
So in summary, identify your micro niche, always snipe, don't shotgun. Remember, there's different decision makers for each niche, and your goal is to find out who has the most power. And sometimes that's 2 or 3 people that you're trying to determine if they're the decision maker.
Remember those online tools that you can use. We showed you several. There's a list there. Hope you took notes because like Seamless AI, then go ahead. You might mention a few of the other online tools.
Yeah, we showed you our strategy from Google Maps, corporate wiki, all the way through
Then we have
offline resources.
the offline resources, remember, is where you're going to do your small associations. Of course, you want to do BOMA. You're going to want to do ICSC. Your local CSI, get to know your architects. So those are the things outside. So most of the time most of your employees are going to be working on the inside, that online tools. These are the offline. You got to do trade shows. Yeah, you got to do 2 to 4 trade shows a year. Be out there in front of people. Be out there at the bar. Don't go back to the hotel room. Wear your tag and go to the bars and hang out with these people and make them fall in love with you, because that's what it's all about, this relationship. And once you find them, you're going to find these relationships, people that own multiple buildings. And then next thing you know, all this hard work kind of goes away, where your machine's just going and you're just hanging out with the guy that owns all the buildings on his yacht.
That's right. And of course, come out and catch us at Win the Storm.
Yes.
We have Francisco, I think, in the chat. We've roped him into doing the next webinar with us on dominating LinkedIn lead gen. And we'll get all the dates and everything for that upcoming. Really excited about helping you guys build a great LinkedIn profile and send messages that convert, which we talked about a little bit here. Being very targeted and specific and providing value right off the bat, not like one of these spammy chatbot messages that you see out there. Short, sweet, concise, and how you're going to provide value is what needs to be in there. So if you have any questions about the webinar, of course, replays are only available for our members, but we can provide you the tools and the slides from this, and we can actually work with you on one-on-one strategies for your business. There will be a link in the webinar, in the email following up on this webinar, where you can book a one-on-one strategy session complimentary, and we'll go through exactly what you need to grow your business.
Follow us on iTunes, Spotify, if you haven't done so already. Listen to our podcast. There's plenty of value that we're providing you guys, because the money always comes for everyone, but we do have the knowledge. We do have the things that we learned over the past 18 years, along with the last 30 years, like with my roofing business. The things that we know how. We know what works, what doesn't work. We can save you 2 years of your life just by listening to a few things in our podcast. But if you want to join Roofing Business Builder, it is available to you. It's not going to cost you as much as a Walker welder. It certainly won't cost you as much as a salesman is going to cost you. You know, because salesman's that brings you $1 million to $2 million extra dollars in revenue. It's not going to cost you that. So, but if you'd like to join Roofing Business Builder, because we're going to help you grow your business and prevent you from losing thousands of dollars in mistakes, and yet be able to really expand your business into the multi-millions.
So we hope these tools help you and your business grow, and don't be shy. Be sure to schedule a strategy session with us. We love it. And we know that we'll provide you value back as well. So what an awesome time, everybody.
Thank
We
you, guys.
appreciate all the support and everyone being here. And we will see you next month.